my staff knows the files, once they confirm and they verify that the court dates are going, they go in the file system so that I can just grab the Monday files, when I come in over the weekend and have them.
Well, that's funny because we've never talked about that, and that's pretty much what I have here too.
Host Melissa Rosenblum is one of only a few women certified by the Supreme Court of New Jersey as a criminal trial attorney. When you add kids, a booming law business, and a little black book full of subject matter experts, you've got the Mighty MERP podcast.
Pretty much what I have here too.
Yes.
And look, maybe every attorney that, maybe this isn't some novel idea, but I always jokingly say to my assistant, I'm going to patent and sell my crash cart. But I really like my system. I do. I come in on the weekends and work on Saturdays. I work more than I ever did. But I enjoy what I'm doing.
I mean, don't you think that that's the one thing that when you are talking to other prosecutors or even public defenders, and listen, I was a public defender, you were a prosecutor, but when they're talking about, when I retire and want to go into private practice or come work for blah, 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 do you have to say to them, it's a lot of hours. It's more hours than when I was not a starting public defender, but after a few years,
Absolutely.
And I was
100%. I can definitely see why so many people tried to persuade me to not go into private practice, being so close to the ability to retire. But I've had no regret. Not one day have I ever regretted. And I've had that question asked of me. Do you regret? No, I don't. Not at all. Do you miss the prosecutor's office? I miss certain things about the prosecutor's office.
Well, as a solo practitioner, the hardest thing is that you're a solo.
Exactly. Right. It's not like when you come back from court, you can shoot the what with colleagues and bounce this off the person or bounce that off the person. But that's what I have you for.
I was going to say, but you have to find someone who is experienced, who you can rely on and all of that. So I'm sure you miss the office and that camaraderie that you had, right?
I do. I miss that. That's what I really miss. And I've stayed close with the people that I have worked with over the years, and they were all really, really good people. And one of the people that I have to thank is, obviously my former chief, Rob Johnson, but also my colleague, Matt Weintraub, who, this is another interesting story. He is now the Bucks County District Attorney. But Matt and I went to college together. He was in my husband's fraternity. And years ago, he was working in Pennsylvania as an assistant district attorney and had made the decision to relocate to the shore and ended up interviewing at the Cape May County and worked alongside of me at the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office. But at that point in time, I had never tried a case. We're talking like 2005, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And he was a very experienced trial attorney. And he is the one, and Rob too, Rob Johnson too, that kind of pushed me off the high dive, so to speak, and got me before a jury. I had had a lot of bench trials in Philadelphia, but I had never had a jury trial. And if it wasn't for those guys, I certainly wouldn't be here
trying cases
in private practice, trying cases all the time. And I was a little bit worried when I decided to leave the prosecutor's office. Matt is a career prosecutor, and he is a good man. And I called him to tell him I was going to leave being a prosecutor, and I was going to, go into private practice and work as a defense attorney. And he wrote me the nicest note, and he wrote, justice is two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. And I've kept that note. It's right in the top drawer of my desk. And
yeah, I mean,
I do believe I try to achieve justice for my clients. And I always felt like I tried to do that when I was a prosecutor as well.
Well, you did. I thought that when we had cases together that we were both looking for a just and fair result. I think we came at it from different angles. And as somebody who went to law school wanting to prosecute, I went to law school, with the idea that I was wanting to handle violent crimes against women and children.
Mm-hmm.
I learned pretty quickly. Everyone else around me knew I was more oriented for defense work, but I didn't know that.
Right. Well, I mean, you've devoted your whole career to that, and I mean, it's great, and it's you have always done such a wonderful job for your clients. I can say that as having, somebody that's gone against you. We've had cases, as you said, on other sides of the aisle, and I think we always tried to achieve the just result for the client and the victims. But now also as a colleague, you really know your stuff.
Oh,
and anytime I have, and it's often that I'll call you and I'll be like, this is a really stupid question, but and just everything from ethics to discrete legal interpretations to the state of the law to everything. So it's that's what people need. That's what clients need. They need somebody who knows the ins and outs on a very specific basis, who is an expert.
Yeah,
really.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. But I feel like part of what makes any attorney really, really effective and a strong advocate for their client is asking those nuanced questions. And even when you think you know the answer, I was in court this week, and I was offered by a very experienced prosecutor a plea to a second-degree aggravated assault, and I know we're getting into the weeds on this, on the strangulation offense that just got upgraded from a third degree to a second degree in the last year. And when it was a third degree, it was a flat sentence. But my client was indicted on the second, and the experienced prosecutor, offered me the second degree for a 5 flat. And I was writing the plea agreement, and I had to call the prosecutor and say, you offered me the 5 flat. My client wants the 5 flat, but I think if you plead him to the second degree, it's a falls under the No Early Release Act. And the prosecutor said, I don't know if you're right. And I said, I could be wrong, but I can't put the plea through until we discuss it. And we pulled up the statute, and we both read it. And the prosecutor,
even if you pled it to a second sentence as a third, it's in here.
It is, and so. But those are that's what makes, and I think you're this type of attorney, like you got to keep asking those questions. You have to make sure that you're looking at everything that's best for your client. And the prosecutor agreed with me, and we had to change the plea a little bit to make sure that the intent of the plea and the end goal of the plea was met. And I think it's something that a lot of attorneys who are just trying to get it done and aren't looking at their clients as people and individuals and, humans, kind of miss, when they're just trying to get it done. And I always felt that you were that person too, which is why I call you all the time on my questions and cases. But so I want to ask you one question, and then I have a few rapid fire questions that I'm going to try with you, and we're going to see how they go. So my last question with regards to, you said what you love about your own business, which is it's yours and you're the boss and you get to set up all these systems to see what that works. What have you realized you either don't like or you always come to sort of with that, I can't believe I have to do this. What about the business aspect of running the law firm or having your own law firm that you find difficult or the part that you wish you could just delegate to someone else?
Right. Well, I mean, I do think it's important to be able to delegate. And so I think that despite, I see a lot of solo attorneys that maybe don't have an assistant or a secretary, or I think that you have to be able to recognize when you need to bring in some help. Now, there's that discussion, and then there's the discussion of when is it time to expand. I think they're related, but they're not the same. And so it's scary to hire someone when you are in private practice, and not only are you dependent on being able to put food on the table, but, to bring someone else in and then be able to, commit to a certain salary is very scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a stress involved in that. But I think in order to be able to serve your clients, look, so much of my day, and my assistant's day is spent on calendar, right?
Yep.
Managing the calendar is absolutely unbelievable because of even just practicing in 3 counties and the municipal courts, because things change and things get moved around. And
Oh, I have somebody in
during
my
COVID, things were
office.
on Zoom. Now we're back to in person, but
Yep.
some things were still in Zoom, and it's really been,
Yes.
that creates a lot of stress to
Yeah.
me.
I have someone who just handles my calendar at this point.
Yeah,
And then I have a
now,
paralegal because the
right.
calendar is crazy.
Right. So there's that. But then on top of that is the fact that all of our discovery is electronic now. I like trees like everybody else, but I kind of miss the day where you'd be given like the paper. You'd just be given it. Back when I was a prosecutor, we had a secretary. She would stand at the copier all day to copy your discovery to go out to attorneys. Now, in theory, it's a lot better, but you have to request it and you have to download it. And then when you download it, it's in different PDFs. And so my assistant also gets that all situated and in a format to me. Then I have to provide it to the client. these are the day-to-day things.
So the
that are
negative
so time consuming.
is the negative about being a solo practitioner is all the non-lawyer
right
is the non-lawyer nuance that you have to
but
be
if
in charge
you
of.
miss a step, if you don't request discovery, if you don't download discovery, you don't give the discovery to the client, you're ineffective. In order to be a good lawyer and be able to practice law effectively, you have to make sure that you've got all the discovery.
Right.
The only way to get all the discovery is to make sure that that's why I've created these checklists.
Right.
Because,
and it's different with every, Superior Court in New Jersey is pretty consistent, but then if you have a case with the Attorney General's office, there's no
right.
specific. And then this week I had to fall on the sword in court because I didn't think I received the discovery on a case in municipal court. I received a disc. It's a DVD. Usually what's on DVDs, it's, videos, body worn cams.
I'd say so. It was all on there, right?
But
yeah, I've had that.
My staff didn't look at the DVD, and the paper discovery was on it. And I initially was like, I don't have any of the paper discovery. And then I had to look at the disc.
Right.
And we had the disc for a month or more, but we didn't know to look. So
right, and making the decision about when to give the discovery to the client on a flash drive or copy. It's very, very time consuming. People don't realize it. All of that is so, as a prosecutor, you're just, you can get the file and you open it up, it's got discovery in it. You look at it and, you can, and that's why I think it's important to have systems in place so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time a new file is opened.
Correct.
But I couldn't, there's no way I could do all that. It became very clear pretty quickly. I think I went a year or so without any help, but it became very clear very quickly that I would need an assistant. But again, you hire someone, you can't be like, oh, I can't pay you this week. You've got to be able to make payroll. So, and I have now had added someone to help me with my books, but there is a point where there's that, and again, this is a business decision. Okay, should I expand more? Should I maintain where I'm at? You have to almost look at it like a bell curve. These are all business decisions, which really probably apply to any business. At the same time, we are providing legal counsel to individuals on matters that affect their life. And so I think it is a very stressful job. I do. I think being a lawyer and being a sole practitioner in the criminal law arena is very stressful.
I agree.
So I think that you can thrive in that environment as long as you, again, have certain procedures in place and follow those procedures.
That concludes our conversation and this series. Don't forget to subscribe for alerts. You're going to love our upcoming guests. Mighty MERP is a production of the Law Office of Melissa Rosenblum and the Niche Podcast Network. Mighty MERP is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all your favorite apps and players. But the best way to experience the show is to visit mightymerp.com, where you can subscribe, rate, or submit a voice message to the show. That's mightymerp.com.